the living God's chief apostle, his ministry was based on putting down that 99% thought, overall scheme within the Bible of honoring the living God through deeds and through acts, through belief on creeds, on traditions, on rituals, on rites, so forth and so forth and so on and so on, that has been associated with the pagan religions from the beginning of time. This is pagan. This is not a way to serve what we cannot see. So if we're going to believe what the man says, again in John 4:24, God is a spirit. And if we're again going to believe what the man says in Luke 24:39, that a spirit does not have flesh and blood, it makes absolutely no sense to continue to live out a conversation that is flesh-based. This is why John 3:6, that which is of the flesh is flesh, that which is of the spirit is spirit. Our conversation is to go from what is flesh-based to what is spirit-based. This is the general scheme of justification. Justification has to do with our conversation rising from what is naturally flesh-based to what is unnaturally, what is more naturally spirit-based. Because we are not naturally flesh-based, even though we appear to be physical. This physicality is the deception. And a routine based off a physical faith is a deceptive faith. It is a faith that relies on the stimulus within our human being to give it the boost that it needs. And this is wrong. This is why the Bible would have us understand the better scheme. Now, at this point in time in the book of Proverbs, the scheme of sacrifices and offerings, it still exists. But at the same time, while this is still existing, you have a mind writing about you need to get wisdom. You have a mind writing about, even though these sacrifices and offerings are here, you need to hear the living God's commandments and live. At the same point in time, you're having the mind of that wrote the book of Proverbs, saying that although we have a system in place to offer what we offer and to do what we do for the sake of our conscience, understand that that's not it. And so what Paul is saying in the book of Galatians, chapter 4 and 5, is that when the fullness of time was come, this man's ministry arose, and of necessity, because it got to a point where it could be no longer acceptable to the human being and to their creator to continue to approach what is spirit by what activates the flesh. Doing so places the living God on the same platform as the pagan deities. Now, the living God is not a pagan deity. God is a spirit. We can only acknowledge this as we acknowledge these words and as we acknowledge our faith's experience by the spirit over mind. This is what Paul in the book of Ephesians chapter 4, be renewed in the spirit of your mind, put off your former conversation. So when we're hearing in the book of Galatians chapter 3 that the living God's chief apostle redeemed us from the curse of the law, when we're hearing in the book of Galatians chapter 4 that this individual was sent to redeem them that were under the law, this holds true to every single one of us that are born into the religious world, or from our last meeting together, that are born in the earth. Earth, key term for religious world. Book of John 18, verses 19 and 20. John 18, 19 and 20, the high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Jesus answered him and spake, I spake openly to the world. I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple where the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. In this one verse, Bible associates world with synagogue and with the Jews resort. When it comes to world, it is not about the natural world, it is about the world of religion. The world of religion.